and welcome to this episode of Authentic Achievements, where I have the absolute privilege of being joined again by the fabulous Mark V. Smith of The Process. I'll tell you a bit about Mark before I invite him to chat to you. So he's the curator of A Bigger Vision Within, and he specialises in speaking from his own personal experience of trials and tribulations and his desire to chronicle choices and share the journey of his life. And he's impacted hundreds of people globally with his message. His podcast, The Process, he outlines and breaks down the situations that we all go through and offers insight on the methods and how we defeat the storms in life. And for me, the bit I love is his signature vision statement: your why is greater than your situation, which is part of your process and gives us the perspective that we really are all growing. Mark, it is a joy to have you here.
Cam, good morning. I'm so glad to be here. Good to see you.
I know, it's so lovely to catch up, isn't it? We chatted a few weeks ago on the USA Global TV show, didn't we? And now we're here on this one. Yes. You were just so insightful. And I think what I love is the way that you reframe things. You know, I'm a big believer in the fact that life loves to throw us a plot twist. But if we accept it's just a plot twist and not the end of the world, then we can find a way through it. We can find an opportunity to come to the other side. So yes, can you start by sharing with us your journey so far, please?
Wow. We only got a short amount of time because my journey is a long journey. You know, I've had, like everybody else, I've had a lot of ups and a lot of downs in life. And again, it would start from my young age, having the belief, or let me say the lack of belief, that I could achieve different things that I've achieved thus far. Humble beginning, mother and father who worked extremely hard, father who worked 7 days a week, sometimes 12 hours a day for weeks on time. I kind of missed that. I missed that role model sometimes inside the household. And I, of course, like a lot of other young men, decided that, you know, I would listen to other individuals who I later on to chronicle and talk about my cage, which was my cage versus my circle. So I grew up with a lot of hard knocks, went on to college, got out of college, went to work, started working in a factory, realized that I didn't want my body beat up. I had been, you know, I wanted to exercise my mind and do different things, and relocated to the hot state of Arizona. And while there, I was able to really start to formulate I would say, I think those were the truly formative years of my career. I started off at the University of Phoenix, online in missions. So I would talk to people all across the globe and really develop the key skill that we all needed: active listening. So to listen to them talk about their journeys, and talk about their plots and their goals. And from that point on, I mean, things just went from here back down to here, to back up here, to back down here, to the point to where in 2018, I chronicle and talk a lot about, I started to develop this series due to the fact that I lost my job. Everybody knows that I talk about it. It was right before Christmas in 2018 when I used that old adage, comfort becomes a casualty of growth. I became comfortable. I became comfortable in the way I was living, in the things that I was doing. And sometimes you have to get pushed out of that comfort zone. And though I didn't see it at that particular time, man, Kim, that was the greatest thing that ever could have happened to my life, because had that not been the case, the process would not have been developed. And I wouldn't be sitting here in front of you today. I'd still be at that school talking to young men and women, which was a joy. But it was time for me. You know, I believe that everybody has a season and a time for them to move forward to do different things.
I love that. And it's so true, isn't it? You know, I always say to people that we only grow through our pain if we go through our pain. You know, we have to go through it first to learn, you know, what's life trying to teach us. And it's taken a lot of years to realize everything is either a lesson, a blessing, or both. So when I don't feel blessed, I look for the lesson, because it's usually in there. It's trying to tell me that that there's a something that I need to do differently. And what I love about your journey so far is that you use that adversity to actually become the platform for your growth. So to say, actually, this isn't how I want it to be, so I'm going to choose something different. So
I would one of the things that I had to learn, and something that I truly believe in right now that I didn't understand, is that most people don't change until the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of change. And I had to get that. I didn't get that. It was said to me many years ago in my young adult years, and like young kids, right? You have those blinders on, yeah, whatever you say, whatever. I don't believe that until you actually experience it and go through. And it's definitely nothing but wisdom and knowledge is the greatest teacher of life in the world. So yeah, the pain of staying the same grew so much more to me than the pain of change.
I love that, because that's the piece we sometimes don't admit, isn't it? Is that there is a cost to us of change, but there's also a benefit to us of not changing. So we have to look at it, even if it's just that we get to be a victim, we get to feel sorry for ourselves, we're getting some payback, and it's only when the payback doesn't outweigh the cost that we can actually make that shift. So how do you share with people how they can change that, how they can get ready to get rid of the thing that's causing them to stay small and gain the confidence to go out and live their best life?
That's a great question. I thought about that when I first initially put together the process. And backstory is I'll never forget having a conversation with my wife when I first thought about putting this together. And she said, well, I believe in what you're doing, and I believe in what you're saying. I believe in your journey because I've seen your journey. How do you want to get that to people? How would they best resonate to what you're saying and how it equates to everyone, not just you, but to everyone who might be involved? Oh, I created by me doing this through the realm of acronyms, it would help resonate with people and fit no matter what situation anyone goes through. And I started simply with kind of dialoguing about what is it that we all need, right? If there has to be a foundation for everything, what is it, or 4 components that each one of us can always dial back to that we can all agree on? And I said, first one was accountability, right? You can't get to where you need to go in life or overcome any obstacle or challenge. I didn't say problem. I said challenge or situation that we need to go through unless you're not accountable. 2, you can't even get that point or move past that point unless you have integrity, right? You have to honor who you are and what your core values are. And all of us have core values. Unfortunately, sometimes individuals don't display those core values, but we all have those inside of us. The next one, Kim, I said, is you have to be responsible. There has to be that responsibility aspect. You have to be looking greater than yourself. I was always told, and I firmly believe that whenever I was in a pinch or a crisis, or whenever I really thought that I couldn't get through it, take Mark out the equation and think about who you're doing it for. Right? Who is it? Because you'll fight harder for those that you love than you will for yourself. I don't think anybody can dispute that action. And the last one that I think was always going to be that foundation was respect. If you can't respect who you are, how are you going to respect somebody else? So I always said that when I put all this together and I said I want to get it to individuals, I want to make sure that you can say put a check mark in each one of those boxes. I'm accountable, I have integrity, there's responsibility that I'm taking, and I have respect for not only myself, but everybody else that I'm going to come in contact with. With that, now we got a chance to grow. Now we got a chance to lift up and pull ourselves from where we were, get to where we truly need to go. And that's been the focal point. I mean, I will always start with that with individuals, and we will go from there and talk about growth, which I said was gradual reminder. Obstacles will test hope. We'll go to trust. Time reveals understanding of situation transformation. So I just decided, again, the acronyms are going to be the way that would stick. People can always pull something out of it with an acronym. And the great thing about it, you can make it and tailor it relatable to your current situation and how to remove that situation or that thought process of that situation in your life.
Amazing. I love that. Yeah, I don't use acronyms. I use quotes. I'm a real quote girl. And my head is full of millions of them. And people are like, literally, you've got a quote for everything in there. And I was like, for me, it's back to making it relatable, isn't it? I'll look at a quote and it helps me see a way through whatever I'm facing today. But those acronyms are great. It's that way of kind of getting that memory. And I loved also the part around taking yourself out of the equation. And one of the things I'll do to myself now is my little girl's called Scarlett. And like a biased mother, I believe as long as she tries hard and she's kind, there's nothing in the world she can't do. So I ask myself, if this were her, what advice would I give her? And then I make myself take the advice, even if it's uncomfortable. But it's amazing how that helps us to just move forward. So what would you say has been your greatest lesson so far?
Not to let what I don't have prevent me from using what I do have. Not letting what I don't have prevent me from using what I do have. And what I mean by that is being okay with me, being okay that I'm imperfect. I'm not perfect. I will never be perfect. So being okay and accepting that I don't care what society thinks about me. I don't care what anybody thinks about me, as long as I'm okay within. And I can know that every single day that the impact that I have touches lives and potentially changes lives, which I know it changes lives, then I'm okay. So I talked initially that I had the problem early in life with self-acceptance. I mean, I wanted everybody to like me. I wanted to be I wasn't a class clown, but I did do some things that I shouldn't have done because I wanted that negative attention, i.e. individuals need to dissect whether you have your circle or you have a cage of individuals that you surround yourself with. So that would probably be the hugest steps that I accomplish is I'm okay now. The opportunity to speak on stage, the opportunity to dialogue with you, the opportunity to affect individuals in Baltimore, DC, and Virginia every single day at 9-10 o'clock in the morning, the opportunity to go out and go to the store and help an elderly person get something or push their cart or bag their groceries. Those types of things, again, you appreciate more that I didn't appreciate then. Life is about being comfortable with who you truly are, not worried about what anybody else thinks of you, but making sure that you sleep darn good at night. And Kim, I sleep good. It took a while. I know I can't lie. You know, this what you see and what everybody sees now is not the same person. I strive every day to be better than I was the day before. And as I said before, I'm a work in progress, but I am truly better today than I was yesterday and will be better tomorrow than I am today.
I love that. And it's such a journey, isn't it, to get to being comfortable with yourself. And, you know, I used to somebody's shot of whiskey than everybody's cup of tea. And as a British person, we could argue about how we make tea as much as we could about politics and religion. You are never going to win that battle. You are never going to be everybody's cup of tea. But when you realize for the right people, you're their shot of whiskey, then they're the ones we're looking for, you know, the ones that we can really affect, the ones that we can be comfortable with. And getting comfortable in your own skin is a lot of work. So
yes, it is. It's truly an adventure. You know, you brought up something a few minutes ago when you talked about, and we both talked about change. And I've always said that change is hard at first, messy in the middle, but rewarding at the end. And I look at my life and think about, wow, I you know, there were things that I wouldn't step out and believe in, but I realize now that, you know, all I had to do was step out and there was a net there. The net was the faith that I needed to know to move forward. And so I look at the messy part of everything, you know, the separating the people who I truly thought were my friends, which really weren't my friends. The family members, sometimes people don't want to address that topic. The family members who you thought would be supportive of you, who really aren't supportive of you, to get to that final step, to know that, you know, it's rewarding at the end, to be able to say, hey, wait a minute, I made it. I made it. I through my own faith, through my own perseverance, through the own trials and tribulations that I had to endure, I made it. And I'm sitting in a position to where I can give it back and I can share with people. So hopefully they don't have to bump their heads as hard as I did. So they don't have to have those nights of crying and those days of feeling worthless and helpless, and understanding who you are when you look in your mirror. And you're powerful, you're strong, you're able to get through and persevere through anything that life throws at you.
Amazing. I love that. And it's so true, isn't it? Every single one of us has already survived 100% of the challenges life's thrown at us. That's one heck of a batting average. Do you know what? I've got a pretty good batting average. I'm going to trust that if I try hard, if I'm kind, and if I just focus on the things I can do, because we get overwhelmed with things we can't control, but we can't control them. So it's like, it's just a waste of effort. We're not going to change anything. So I had a friend once who said, you know, how do you stay so calm in spite of everything life's thrown at you? And I was like, well, I refuse to think about the things I can't control because they just make me worse. So I find the one thing I can control and I cling to it in like the lifeboat in the messy head of my brain as it navigates things. You know, whatever that is, whatever that one thing is that you can do, I think you can just cling to it. So so many amazing lessons. What would you say has been your proudest moment so far?
Wow, there's a lot that I'm grateful for. Truly, I would say probably the proudest moment was when I was able to take the material that and radio stations across the country asked me, would I be so kind to come onto their platforms and deliver these messages? Because I was scared, you know, I fear, you know, there's two, I use two acronyms, I use fear in two acronyms. One, false evidence appearing real, and the other one is face everything and rise up, and face it all and rise. So I was given an opportunity in 2019, late 2019, 2020 to partake in a radio show. And I remember the gentleman who asked me to do it. He had said, Mark, we'd like for you to come and deliver the process on radio every Saturday morning at 10 o'clock. And I was said, no, I'm not sure I'm ready for it. And I remember him saying, you know what? This is the only time you're going to get this offer from us. Either take it or leave it. So what did I do? I said, you know, wait a minute, maybe I need to think about it. He said, okay, go right ahead. You got to close a business to give me an answer. So I stepped out on faith and did that. And then that led to another opportunity, which is a huge opportunity with WGLRO radio with 64,000 daily listeners. So every Thursday I have a show that's on there, the process as well. So 2 radio stations will probably be one of the biggest, but probably the single most rewarding thing that thus far has come to when I had an opportunity to travel to Mobile, Alabama, and deliver a keynote speech for an organization who was delivering scholarships for young men and women in the area. And that was impactful, just to see myself in the audience, to see that there was young men, young women who were holding on to what I was saying and believing that they too could change. There's nothing that they are going through right now that is finite. Everything is temporary that they're going through, and they're learning pains. So these opportunities to share a message has been the single most rewarding things in my life. I never thought in my wildest dreams, if you could have told me 20 years ago that I'd be doing this, I'd have laughed at you. Honestly, you're crazy. I wouldn't be doing that. But today I realized that, you know, others saw more in me than I saw in myself. It was up to me to believe that I could be that person.
I love that. It's so true, isn't it? We often are the thing that gets in our own way. We are the biggest critic. And I think it was Eleanor Roosevelt that said we should do something every day that we think we can't. And it's like, you know, if you go and do those bits and then you look back and maybe you don't achieve it every time, but you suddenly realize you survived. It's like, you know, you go to the end of the day and you're like, okay, so I've learned I'm not so great at parachute jumping, but I still made it to the ground, so we're all good.
That's right. That's right.
I love it. And that whole piece around being able to give back, to pay it forward, to be able to take the experiences that you've overcome, that you've had to find a way through, and share that knowledge, share those tips to the next generation, to people that hopefully can learn from your journey without having to go through your journey, or at least not through all of it. It must be
it's funny you bring that up, because I think about when I closed season 5 of the process, which I entitled Procrastination, the Thief of Time. I thought about what it was that the impactful people that were on my journey. I thought about, you know, the individuals who their small contributions, although they thought they were small, they were enormous. I mean, I still relate to those things and think about some of the things that they told me but many years ago. Let's just say many years ago. Yeah, I mean, I think about holding on to some of those words that didn't make sense then, but they really make sense today and what they were trying to teach and say. And I think just feel it's so we have to get to the point to where we are giving back. We are taking, again, I keep using that old adage, taking self out of the equation. Because I know I used to live my life transactional, meaning what can you do for me? And it took a long time for me to realize that you need to live transformational. It's what can you do for others? That's the way that you need to live. And that is who you are internally. And we all, again, I go back to say I'm the internal optimist. We all have that in us. It's just up to us to decide if we're going to leave somebody bitter or we're going to leave them better. It's our call.
I love that. It is so true, isn't it? It is up to us. And it's funny, I've gone through a stage in the last few years of going, I see something, I'm just going to go and say something to that person. So I'm the weirdo that stops people on the tube and goes, your hair looks amazing today. And you see them start off with going, she's talking on the tube, that's a bit awkward. But you see the difference it makes, even something so small, about actually going and paying it forward. And this weekend, the same happened to me. I happened to sit down in this coffee shop, and these two ladies interrupted me and said, excuse me, can we just say you look really lovely? And I was like, well, thank you. Sorry if we're really weird. I was like, no, I just love I've met kindred spirits, because I do this all the time. But I would never have done it when I was younger, as I would have been too self-conscious that people would think, well, why does she think her opinion matters? But actually, we've got opinions, haven't we? We've got things that we can share. And as long as we're doing it through kindness, then I think it's having that confidence to say that might be the thing that stops them having a bad day today. Absolutely. That might be the thing that gives them just that boost of confidence that goes, yeah, I'm not doing too bad. I can nail this. I think those bits are crucial. And it's uncomfortable, isn't it? Sharing your truth, sharing your journey, sharing your vulnerability.
It is. It's because you don't know. We live in a society that always judges, right? So we are so quick to judge other people and what they've gone through and say, that famous words, that won't be me. When the fact of the matter is, we all go through it. It may not be the same exact situation, but it's something similar that everybody can relate to. And that was the purpose of the process, Kim, just to sit down with everybody and say, hey, this is a fact. We all go through everything that goes with. There's job loss, there's death, there's divorce, there's drug addiction. There's so many different things that there's hatred. There's so many different things that in gender discrimination, everything that is impacted inside this world, we all are affected by. But how do we take it and not let that just sit inside of our spirit and take us down? What are the things that we can do, refer to, go back to, relate to, versus turning on that idiot box and hearing the negative things that are going on across the world? What can we turn on and grab something that's going to make our lives and our spirit, right? Because our spirit is what's going to carry us. What will take our spirit to the next level to where we're okay? We can exhale, we can put a smile on our face, and we can, consciously, like you talked about, walk up to somebody and say, you look good today, with a smile on their face, because again, you have that kind spirit and that spirit of humanity. And that's what we got to get to that. We truly have to get to that.
We have, haven't we? Because it's so uplifting, isn't it? I'm trying to teach my little girl that, when somebody's unkind to her, they might be really sad themselves. Right? So don't assume that they're being unkind to you because they're being mean. They might just need more love. So try and respond with kindness, and then possibly move away if they're still in an unkind place, so they don't hit you for the second time. But that piece around it, trying to look at it with a bit more compassion. You're looking at how it's made you feel, but think about what's going through your head when you've done those things, when you've lashed out, when you've been frustrated with somebody. How are you feeling? And it's always been sad. It's always come from a position of, pity loves a party, doesn't it? If I'm sad, I want you to be sad. And I think when we get to the other side of that goes, actually, I want to leave everybody with a feeling of increase, like they actually feel better as a result of the interaction, and therefore won't dread the thought of having the interaction again in the future, versus that whole, oh my goodness, I'm glad that's over and I don't want to go go through that again. So you've got so many great examples for us and so many great messages. And you've talked about being able to deliver those and seeing yourself in the audience when you've been delivering them to at keynotes. If you could go back and give young Mark any advice, what would it be?
I'd say it's a couple of things. One, I would say you need to listen. Now, your elders didn't get to be your elders by just waking up one day. They walked in the shoes that are prepared for you to walk in. So I would say that. But I always, I use something that I keep by me all the time, and I almost read it every single day. It talks about the 8 pieces of wisdom that can change your life. And I didn't have those. And I would say, number 1, words are powerful. Use them wisely. Number 2, people come and go, but the right ones stay inside your life. The third one, you're doing enough, even if it doesn't feel like it. Every single day, Mark, that you got up and as a young man, you had an opportunity and you're doing the best you can. Now, the fourth one I would say probably is failure is only when you don't try. I didn't try. You know what I mean? I played it close to the vest. And I even, as an adult, comfort is a casualty of growth. I got comfortable in things. You talked about this, number 5, random acts of kindness makes everyone feel better. Number 6, live for today and for tomorrow. Enjoy the day. Eleanor Roosevelt, what can you do today? What can you do today to change your perspective? Number 7, never look back. There's nothing there for you. I always joke when I laugh and talk and say, there's a reason they made that rearview mirror so small and that front mirror extremely big. You're never to look back. And last one that I think is most important that we all are guilty of is overthinking kills happiness. Overthinking, worrying, it kills your day, it kills your momentum. Whatever is going to be is going to be. You control the thoughts you think, the actions you take, and the visions you see. We're in control of that. So if I could take the young Mark, the impressionable Mark, the Mark that wanted people to like him, the Mark that wasn't sure of himself, if I could take back and I could get him to open his mind, open his heart, and open his brain to those 8 things, man, I think that it would have been a beneficial time for me in my life. But I will say this, I'm glad I had the experiences, the learning experiences that I did, because that has made me the person that I am today. And it's helped me develop what's important, what's not important, what I can change and what I can't change. Amazing.
That's so true, isn't it? Is that, I always come back to 2 pieces of advice that my grandparents gave me. My nan always said, every day is a school day. So in every day you should learn something. And my granddad always said, live each day as if it's your last, and one day you'll be right. And I think somewhere between the two, like learning something every day and not putting off until tomorrow what you can do today, has kind of really, really helped to push through some of those challenges. Mark, I could literally chat to you all day. We're definitely going to have to get you back on. But in the interim, how can people get in touch with you?
Absolutely. They can visit my website. That's theprocessmarksmith.com. At the very top, when you go through there, you can there's all my social media links. So you can click on each one of them: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. All of those are right there. You can also email me. And through my website, down at the very bottom, there's a contact form. Email me. I would love to dialogue with you. I love to share the information with you. You can go to all the major streaming outlets, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Spotify, all of them, and look up Mark Smith, The Process, and hear any one of those messages. And of course, again, you can tune in to star107fm.com on Saturday mornings, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, as well as WGLRO radio at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time to hear The Process. It will change your life, because truly your why is greater than your situation, which is part of your process.
Amazing. It's been an absolute joy. I'll make sure all the details are in the show notes. And Mark, until next time, thank you so much.
Thank you, Kim. Have a great day.
And you. Bye.
Bye.